Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. This week, I'll be speaking with Ann Garnier. Ann is the co-founder and CEO of RelayHealth. She's a seasoned healthcare leader and operator, helping to create, launch, and scale innovative healthcare technology companies and products that have improved patients' outcome and access to care. Prior to RelayHealth, Ann was the COO at CarePayment, Senior Vice President at RelayHealth, Vice President at Paradigm Health, and fractional senior executive and advisor to numerous venture-backed companies. She is passionate about using technology to transform women's health, advancing research on menopause and healthy aging, and helping women thrive in midlife and celebrate the start of something great. Welcome to the show, Ann. I'm so excited to have you on.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, let's get started. Ann, as a woman in tech, can you share with us your career journey and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. Well, so I've been in healthcare technology my whole career, several decades. I started out working for a large insurance company, but then joined a venture-backed startup that was using predictive analytics to forecast outcomes for very complex health conditions. And so I just really fell in love with working in a startup environment, but also using technology to change outcomes or improve outcomes and access to care for people. And it just became my passion.
Nice.
I would say along the way, I did a lot of work in women's health. So I led the development of some of the earliest tech-enabled solutions for high-risk pregnancy, preterm birth, fertility. So, when I decided to start my own company, I just kept going back to that passion for women's health, but my interest was really more in what's happening to women 40 plus, right? So much focus is on women in the earlier stages of their lives and their reproductive journey. And it was really just very reflective of where I was at in my life. And I felt that technology could play a very important role in transforming this very complex life stage for women.
Very nice. Nice career journey, and great in taking the passion that you have for women's health and turning it into a business. I think that's amazing. What are some of the ways that technology can change lives? What have you found?
Yeah, well, technology, it really has pervaded almost every aspect of healthcare. So whether you're looking at administrative or financial or clinical, really technology is being used quite widely. And I think there are a lot of benefits to that. But, when you think about healthcare supporting consumers, there's apps for everything from pregnancy and fertility to diabetes and depression. So when I was looking at, the women's health landscape and understanding more about midlife women's health and menopause, you could just see how incredibly underserved it was as a market. There's, relative to other areas of healthcare, very little research, almost no technology. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, why should midlife women be overlooked when there's so much that technology can do to really bridge the major gaps in care that exist? 3.8 billion women worldwide will experience this life stage. It's inevitable. And so when you think about what are some of those gaps, for example, a severe shortage of trained clinicians, a lack of easily accessible, science-backed information and therapeutic support. So I felt that technology was the perfect way to bridge these gaps, to address the shortage of trained clinicians, to reach underserved populations, not just in the US and worldwide. And so technology then, when you have that in the palm of your hand, right, then you can empower women to take control of their health and give them
Mhm.
the tools and education that they need.
Wow, 3.8 billion.
3.8 billion. It's not
That's a
trivial.
crazy number. Yeah.
Half the world's population. And
Mhm.
so I think that there's an incredible potential for technology to address a lot of the challenges that women face. We're still early days in what's possible, but I think, having been in healthcare technology and now for several decades, I really think this is the most exciting period of innovation that I've witnessed. And my passion is about harnessing that innovation to serve these 3.8 billion women.
That's amazing. I mean, that it's taking somebody like you who has that passion and being a woman yourself and probably gone through this stage or going through this stage like me. It's just so important for somebody to say, I'm going to do something about this, right? And there's a great population that needs your help. So I think that's awesome. Great job with that. So I understand that you have an app that you just released in July. Share with our listeners more about this app.
Sure. So we launched Midday, which is an app that was developed in collaboration with Mayo Clinic and SRI International, that's leveraging the power of AI and sensor technology along with digital therapeutics to really support women on this menopause journey. So we're using these technologies to deliver personalized insights that really, for women, finally illuminate what's happening physically and emotionally during menopause, because so many women express, that they just feel out of control. They don't know what's happening with their body. And sadly, very few physicians are trained in menopausal care. So physicians are not able to provide that illumination oftentimes. So that's sort of a very important part of what the app is doing, is like finally delivering this insight. But then I think more importantly, providing the right support or the right intervention at the right time to manage these symptoms, and so deliver relief, and also promote healthy aging, which we can also talk about in a minute. But delivering insights are incredibly helpful, but ultimately you want relief, so you want to make that connection to the therapeutic support. I would point out that menopause, it's a highly complex life stage, so it lasts 30 plus years, and you can experience and you can experience many symptoms over this journey. They've cataloged a minimum of 34 symptoms, and I think your tech listeners will appreciate when you have multiple stages of menopause, 34 symptoms, and innumerable combinations that are going to change, right? AI, gives us the opportunity to leverage, that sophistication of computation and inference to generate insights and really enable, our app to learn and empower decision-making through augmented intelligence. So from my perspective, the only way we can truly transform the menopause experience is to gain a better understanding by applying AI and advanced analytics to a large data set, on diverse women. Every woman is unique, and so we need that data and those technology strategies to really pinpoint and reveal what's happening, with these symptoms and deliver relief, just much more quickly than what occurs today. I also think from a healthy aging perspective, we can evaluate health risks and deliver preventative care much, much earlier than what typically happens. I think a statistic that really shocks a lot of people is that by age 55, 80% of women, that's 80%, have at least one chronic disease, and 50% have two by age 55, right? And so when you think menopause, really, that journey starts typically in your early 40s, maybe sometimes in your late 30s, right? And we know now that menopause symptoms are linked to a lot of the major chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease. We should be able to activate women to assess these risks and activate them much earlier than we are today, where we're more likely to wait until they've already been diagnosed with the chronic disease to then try to introduce interventions to improve those conditions or remediate them altogether. So I guess it's a long sort of rambling point.
No, that's great. Yeah.
Menopause is like this perfect window of opportunity to engage women when they're actively seeking support and want to engage in, everything from alternative and complementary medicine and other holistic strategies to cognitive behavioral therapy and perhaps even some prescription medication like hormone therapy.
So share the name of the app again so everybody can hear that, because I think the capturing of data with women today is so critical to the future.
It is.
And are you saying there's not enough data yet out there?
Well, there have been some very large longitudinal studies that have been done. One is called SWAN, the study of women across the nation. And that's a US-based study. And then there is I believe it's called the Million Women Study that's out of the UK. And so I think the researchers who've been leading those studies and other studies around menopause are just amazing, right?
Right.
But it's such an underfunded part of research, even within women's health. It's extremely underfunded. So we need to do more. And now we can use more sophisticated techniques, technologies, and also sensors that can objectively measure some of these menopause biomarkers, which the SWAN data, for example, to my knowledge, didn't leverage, right, that technology. It wasn't available or advanced enough in a way to do it where women in their just daily lives could be measured, whether it's their hot flashes or their sleep disturbance, or some of the other biomarkers that we can now collect with, say, an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or, some other more readily available wearable technology.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's so important that our listeners are, if you're in this time of your life, to really download the app, put in the data, you'll be helping somebody in the future as well as yourself, right?
Absolutely.
You're really doing good for yourself, but then you're also helping others. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So you're really passionate about using technology to transform women's health. Tell us more about where that passion came from and why, and then how you use technology to help.
Well, I'm passionate about technology, I think, because I grew up with it. And I just could see that, technology really allows us to scale in a way that you can't do with like human resources, right? Like it's going to be very challenging for us to train clinicians around menopausal care, over the next decade. Because you have to, change medical school curriculum. There's lots of things that you would have to do, but with technology, you can create access to science-backed and evidence-based tools, support, and insights, right? That doesn't rely on, our ability to scale, sort of the human side of this equation. So women don't have to wait a decade, perhaps, for us to then say, oh, great, we now have enough clinicians to satisfy the demand. We can actually solve the problem now, right? And it's a problem that's existed for a very long time. Has been a lot of shame and silence and stigma associated with this life stage. So, women have, by and large, just toughed it out.
Yep.
Which, no one should have to do that, because it can be and is actually quite an impactful life stage, the changes that occur. And, women want, need, and deserve support. So let's use every advantage we can. And technology and data are two big, big advantages. I think I'm also passionate about, just the fact that with technology, you can achieve a level of personalization. Every woman is unique, and they appreciate that. They view themselves as unique, right? And they don't want a one size fits all approach. They really want a personalized experience that caters to their preferences and their unique characteristics. And I think that's what, AI and machine learning can do really, really well, is it can provide that personalization and contextualization for women.
When did you know that you had a passion for this stage of life, that you wanted to help and make a difference?
Well, I had decided to start my own company after, spending many years helping others start and grow their company. I just really felt it was time for me to take that next step in my career. And so I was looking at different problems that I wanted to solve. As I mentioned earlier, I always look for ways of, how can we use technology to improve patient outcomes and access to care? And I was tapping back into that passion for women's health and looking at the landscape. It was really apparent that pregnancy and fertility, there's just hundreds of companies that are in addressing, those particular parts of the reproductive journey. Lots of other companies doing work in menstrual care, sexual wellness. But when you looked at the, what's happening to women 40 plus, which is, largely around the menopause transition, a few years ago, there were almost no companies in the space, and certainly no technology. And I just thought, this is crazy, right? Again, every woman is going to go through this. 26, about, I would say 25 to 26% of the population right now is in this life stage.
Wow.
It's well over 1 billion women.
It's real.
So,
it's there.
Right. And these women are suffering. And it just coincided with my own menopause transition. And, anybody who's ever done anything entrepreneurial will tell you that, it's really ideal if you can experience this problem firsthand. And so there's nothing like having that personal experience. And me being this, incredibly knowledgeable and empowered healthcare consumer, I struggled to get good support from my physician. I struggled to find what I considered to be, reliable, science-backed information I felt I could trust. I just experienced all the problems that almost all women are experiencing. And I just was got so incredibly fired up, and it's we shouldn't have to put up with this. This is crazy. So I knew it would be, certainly be for a few years, an uphill battle, because, nobody was talking about menopause. And so, kind of step one is that missionary work of, opening up the conversation and helping to educate, all the constituents, right? Whether it's employers or health plans or health systems, women, right? We need to just educate everyone on where the gaps are. And fortunately, I think we've achieved that goal in the last few years, along with some other people in the industry who've come into the industry and started companies. I think we've sort of pretty much got there, where now this is something that's being talked about. But now we need to go to step two and really get traction with getting these solutions into the hands of women.
Wow. That's so great. Thank you for all this great work you're doing on behalf of women, because it is so needed and there's nothing out there, and you experienced it firsthand yourself. So there's
Mhm.
no better solution to that problem than somebody who's really been through the stages and the frustrations and the lack of help, all of those things, right? So you know where to
Right.
turn to.
Exactly.
A guy could do the same thing, but it wouldn't be from their inner self that they were feeling it and really went through it. I feel like every job in my business I've done, so I know from
Mhm.
firsthand what is involved. So that's so important. So great
For
job with that.
sure. But I do
Yeah.
want to point out that it's really important to have men as part of this
Oh,
conversation because
absolutely.
they're very much impacted for those men or who are in a relationship with a woman,
Hmm. Hmm.
going through this life stage. There's can be an incredible impact on the relationship, and men really do. I think by and large want to support their
Hmm.
partner, but it's
Hmm.
really hard for them because
They don't know how. Yeah.
if women are inclined not to talk about it because we were
Hmm.
trained not to, right?
Hmm.
First of
Right.
all, just having the conversation can be difficult. And then if it's hard for us as women to find resources for ourselves, and then, men are helping, trying to support that, it's just challenging all around.
Hmm.
But I think, whether it's men in technology, men in positions of clinical leadership, men in positions of leadership in employer organizations, like we need men to to support and advocate for more support. Absolutely.
I'm so glad you said that, because I think that is so critical in our entire journey, not just that stage of life, but just our entire journey in coming into technology, because there's not enough women in
Hmm.
technology, and we need their support and them to be allies in order to lift us up.
Hmm.
So I think that's very, very good that you said that, because they need that help as well. And a lot
Right.
of men will say, I want to do this, I want to help, but I just don't know how.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, very good point. So, as a woman in the male dominated industry, our voices definitely need to be heard. Share with us ways to strengthen our voice so that, we are heard in more situations. We have a seat at the table.
Hmm.
We're really considered a voice.
Mm,
Any ideas in what you've
sure.
learned over the years?
Well, I think we just sort of touched a little bit upon,
Hmm.
partnering with men
Hmm.
to, support women to move into positions of leadership and influence in organizations. But I also think women need to support other women and
Yep,
lift them up.
I agree. I
So
agree.
rather than, the ladder being vertical, right, where like there's only one woman can be above you, we need to
Mhm.
flip the ladder so it's horizontal and there's a lot of women on the ladder, right? Right.
That's
So,
right.
I'd like to see, that behavior go
Hmm.
away where, women tend to compete and actually they're supporting one another. But I also think they just need to stop being wallflowers.
Hmm.
I do a lot of mentorship for women who are looking to advance in their career. And, some of my top, top sort of recommendations to them is, well, you need to become a thought leader, either, within your own company or, also outside of your company. You need to build a strong network. I mean, these are two things that men are like really good at.
Hmm.
You can't be a wallflower.
Right.
You
Right.
have to put yourself out there. You have to be able to create opportunities or um, be able to verbalize like your value and not wait for somebody to sort of appreciate that value. So I also think if the opportunities are not organically coming to you, like you need to plan to create them to yourself. So, if you want to be a thought leader, pitch yourself to a podcast or an industry group where you could lead a workshop or have a, speaking opportunity, talk to your marketing team about ways that you can help promote the company at the same time you're promoting your personal brand and point of view. And if these activities make you uncomfortable, you need to figure out how to get past that. You have, whether it's getting a coach or
get negative Nancy out of your head, right?
yeah, it's like, you have to overcome that anxiety and imposter syndrome. It's just imperative if you want to unlock more opportunities and not only strengthen your voice in, a male-dominated industry, but also, collectively strengthen women's voices within technology.
No, that's great. Yeah, really, really good advice. It is so important for us to have that strong voice, but behind that, we need to have a voice that's educated about the situation. Like you said, you have to be a thought leader. So you have to know what we're talking about, because then we can be strong and confident. But a lot of times, if we don't know the subject matter, it's hard to do that. So be that expert. I love that.
Yeah.
So, Anne, on a personal note, who inspires you and why?
Okay. I don't know if anybody's ever shared this, but women inspire me.
That's awesome.
Particularly midlife women. When I can't even tell you now, of course I have lots of midlife women friends and family and colleagues, but, now being in the business of menopause and healthy aging, I talk to lots and lots of midlife women. And what we do and the sacrifices that we make every day in the face of discrimination and injustice are just astonishing to me.
It is, yeah.
So I just have to say that, I think women overall are inspirational to me, but women in midlife are just rock stars.
I love that you said that. That is so amazing. And I don't think anybody said that before. So it is so true, though. We just, suck it up and keep going. We don't even give ourselves credit for what we do. Exactly. So you're absolutely right. Yep. That's so important.
Yeah. So and if there's one wish I have for the future of midlife women is that, going back to the find your voice, right? As midlife women, we need to find our voice and we need to be confident, in who we are and not feel like we have to just fade away and
just
be invisible, right? Like we need to take up space, right? And be, I think, much more vocal about what we want and need, and also start taking care of ourselves a lot more.
I love that. Yes, very, very good advice. So this is a selfish question because I love to travel and I always want to get ideas of new places. So what is your most favorite place that you've traveled to and why?
Well, I am incredibly passionate about travel. I would say, it's, I don't know, number one, number two, right? For me on just what I love to do. So it's a tough choice actually to answer that question, but I'll try. Okay. So my favorite city, hands down, is Tokyo. I absolutely love, the energy, the modernity, but then at the same time, while you have this hyper modern city, you really still have this very deep respect for culture, tradition, and elders.
Love that.
Which is amazing. And then of course, I love to travel to new places. Even though I always say, oh, I want to, I'm definitely going to go back there. I'm always seeking to go somewhere new because I love to learn about and experience other cultures.
And there's not enough time to
no, I know.
Back, right? I'm like, I got to go to a new place.
Exactly. And I wish more people would travel. I really do. I think it just is so mind-opening and expansive and rewarding. I just go anywhere outside of the US. That's
open up your mind, learn about the culture, learn about their rituals, their food, their, everything.
Right.
That's great. That's great. So, in closing, what advice would you give to a woman considering a career in the tech industry?
Okay. Well, I think really you should create this unwavering confidence and faith in your abilities.
How
And
do you do that?
uh, I think you have to invest in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
whether it could be through a coach, it could be through a therapist, it could be through self-guided activities.
Mm-hmm.
I did something that had been recommended to me, the artist's way, which has been around for 25 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the most like rational, analytical person. And I said, I'm not doing this. This is so woo-woo. But I was at a place in my life, as a midlife woman, I was at a place in my life where I just really was struggling a bit, I think, to sort of define like, well, what does this period of my life look like? Like, where is my next chapter? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to have to do some things that make me uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
in order to figure this out. And so that was one of the several things I did that made me uncomfortable. And I strongly recommend it because, if you don't have the resources for, coaching or therapy, it's very inexpensive. You just can buy the book on Amazon. It's a self-guided 12-week journey that requires no other investment other than a little bit of your
What
time.
is the name of the book?
It's called The Artist's Way.
Okay.
It's been around for decades. And I really, at the end, was just super happy that I did it. And I've, turned a lot of other people onto it. It's just, you have to just make a leap of faith into it and just do the work of, journaling and a few other exercises. It's, I think, relatively painless.
Okay. Okay. And was there
Um,
one thing that stood out that really helped you? Or one or two things? Anything from the book that you did religiously and
yeah.
then you said, now I'm still doing those things?
Well, one of the things that in order to, I think maximize this particular method is that you need to write 2 pages every day.
Mm.
And it doesn't even like it doesn't matter what you write. Like, you could write the same sentence over and over again, but the point
Okay.
is that, you're writing. And I think through that process of unwriting, you really, there's some prompts that can help you along the way, but I think it just helps you to dig into areas that you need from a self-exploration
Mm-hmm.
kind of point of view. So I think that could be a launching off point for a more consistent journaling practice. It doesn't have to be 2 pages every day once you finish with this 12-week journey, but I think either that, it unlocks, I think, the opportunity for you to engage in more self-reflection
Introspect. Yeah.
and
Really see what you're
introspection,
thinking. Yep.
whether it's through meditation or
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness or journaling or, just connecting with nature. I think
Mm-hmm.
you'll still take away some things from the process that'll stick with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think going back to this idea of creating this unwavering confidence and faith in your abilities, you know, it's also about not letting people or letting anyone make you feel any less than who you are. Because there is,
Mm-hmm.
again, this notion of women in midlife should be invisible, which that word is very negative and it's
Mm-hmm.
diminishing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
invisible, as if you have nothing, no
Like you don't
reason
exist. Yeah.
to be visible, like you have nothing to contribute. And there couldn't
That's,
be
yeah.
anything that is so not true. I mean, we as women in midlife are at the peak of our powers and our capabilities. And so I just think women need to really appreciate that about themselves and own it and become what I call unstoppable. Just
Mm-hmm.
become a force, right? And
Right.
when we become that, then we really have a voice. Until then, I think we'll still, be challenged to get what we want. But I will say we wield the most economic power of any demographic in the world. So the other opportunity besides finding your voice is to also vote with your wallet.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I love this advice. This is so great and so on point. And it's been such a pleasure and an honor having you on the show. You've inspired me. I know you'll inspire my audiences and listeners. And I'd love to have you on the show again, in the future so that you can tell us what else is happening. Hopefully things are really moving the needle and the data is collecting so we can help women continuously. So this has been such a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much, Ann.
Well, thank you. And if you're interested in our Midday app, you can either go to our website, midday.health, midday.health, or you can go to the App Store and search for Midday.
Is it on all operating systems, so iOS as well as Android?
It's currently iOS, but we'll have Android in 2023. So sorry, Android users, you have to hold on a little bit longer.
Just a little bit longer, but iOS is dominant anyway. So
yeah, if you go to our website, midday.health, there's still just, tremendous amount of resources you can get through our blog.
Perfect. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. Thank you again, Ann. It was such a pleasure.
It was such a pleasure to chat with you, and I look forward to coming back on next year.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
From IT skill enhancements to end user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our Microsoft official curriculum on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.